Amanda Makki, you are running for Congress in Florida. Florida is a big deal this year.
Yes, it is.
And we're hearing that what the Dems are saying right now is not winning Florida, especially Bernie Sanders. So you're running against a Democrat. What do you think is going to happen in your area? It's the Tampa area, right?
Yes. So we're just outside of the Tampa Bay area, the Tampa area in Tampa Bay, Pinellas County. So home to actually the number 3 beach in America.
Oh, wow.
As of this
I should
year,
visit you.
You should visit. So we have St. Pete Beach, Clearwater Beach in the district. And this is a very traditional district. And so I think someone like Bernie Sanders would be very problematic for the people in my district, for the constituents who are reasonable and rational people and don't believe in socialist ideology.
So what made you decide to run? What is your history? How did you get into politics?
Yeah. So, my background is in politics. Veterans issues. Prior to that, I worked in the Pentagon just weeks after 9/11 for the Bush administration as a political appointee. And lastly, I was a partner in a very large law firm before I decided that I was not being represented in Congress. My voice and the voice of others in my district were not being represented. And I talked to people and I said, what has Charlie Crist, our current congressman who's been in office for 3 decades, what has he done? And no one could really tell me anything that he's done. And I thought, if we're paying someone $174,000 a year to do a job and they're not doing it, we should give people the opportunity to vote for someone else.
What are you offering your constituents? When you go out and you talk about Charlie Crist, what's different about you?
A lot of things. So, I always say, Charlie's been campaigning since I was 9 years old. I'm 41. He's been in office for 3 decades, and I don't know what he's ever accomplished. Most people don't. And he's been on every side of every issue. He was once a Republican. He was the governor of the 3rd largest state in America when he was a Republican, and then he became an independent, and then he became a Democrat. And, I just don't think that I could ever switch parties after knowing who I am in my 20s. And so the conversion, I'd say, is very different than who I am. But I think just really being a representative and being a public servant means having the heart of a public servant.
Yes.
I believe, and I think a lot of people in my district believe, that Charlie is only there to serve himself. And I'd say that's where we're very different. I take a very bold view of how I want to help people. And I did that for a long time when I was working in Congress. And I think really this district, we are not in the twilight of our district. We are growing. Florida is booming. 1,000 people a day are moving to Florida. The Tampa Bay area is one of the fastest growing parts of the state.
Wow.
So we have a lot of issues that come with the growth that we're experiencing. And one of those things is transportation. And so that's something that we need to prepare for, because that takes many years to build roads and bridges. But I think where I'm very different from Charlie, and a complete contrast, is that I'm running on term limits. I don't believe that we should have members who stay in office forever, and that's pretty much what Charlie's been. So I will not serve more than 5 terms if I'm so lucky to be elected 5 terms, and that's a total of 10 years. I will set out a list of things that I hope to accomplish, and hope to accomplish those in the 10 years. And, a lot of times people say, well, once you get there, you got to get oriented. I cut my teeth as a lawyer working on Capitol Hill, and so I don't really need orientation, and I'm ready to go day one.
Last night I was talking to someone whose parents had been in Congress for many, many years, and they were saying that when someone gets elected, within 6 months, they're running for re-election again, really, and it's a very chaotic situation for all of our congressmen and women. Do you think that we should extend the time that their actual term in office? Should it be 4 years instead of 2, and that allows them to accomplish more?
Sure. You're the second person actually to talk about this just this week. So I think it's very interesting. And yes, they always say it's like the job in Washington of a member of Congress is, as soon as they get elected, they're back again just at it, running again, fundraising again. It is very chaotic, and the schedule is 3 days in D.C. or 3 days in the district, and so it does make it very challenging. I think extending that is not a bad idea. That's of course up for discussion and deliberation. I think that would actually be more meaningful because people will have a little bit of a longer time, not as long as a Senate seat. But certainly I think that's something that's worth exploring.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I hadn't actually thought of it myself, but when I look at my own congressman, I know that you're right. A congressperson is out of town so much, and then that time in town should be able to be spent with family, but it is instantly campaigning, and we want our congresspeople to have that family life work balance.
Yeah, absolutely. And also when you're back in the district, having worked for 3 members, I did a lot of in-district trips, in-state trips, and you are working, you are on the go more than even in Washington because you want to get to every constituent. You want to get to every opening of a school, opening up of a business, and you want to be at those things. And so you will be working around the clock when you're in the district. So people sometimes call it recess. I think it's anything but recess.
What are you hearing? Obviously, we're at CPAC. This is for conservatives here. So what are you hearing in Florida for 2020 in general, in your district, and also in the state in general for the president?
Yeah, I don't travel the state because I'm running in my district, and my district is extremely important not only to the White House, but to flipping the House of Representatives back to Republican control. I think what I hear the most is how disgusted people are with the impeachment process. The price tag on how much taxpayers spent on a sham impeachment process that started November 9th, 2016, the day after the president was elected. I think the Democrats couldn't accept the results of the election, so they began to impose this impeachment mentality that never stopped.
Right.
And people are just tired of it. The Mueller report, the tens of millions we spent on the Mueller report, and then we went straight into an impeachment process. People are tired of politics. They just want someone who's going to help them with the kitchen table issues that they're concerned about and their families are concerned about.
Wonderful. Amanda, thank you. We hope that person is you.
Thank
we
you
wish
very
you
much.
luck in
Me
2020.
too. Thank you.
Wonderful.